Welcome to Rich Conversations. This is another one of our weekly guided reflection sessions where we're going to take about 40 to 55 minutes out of our day to simply just think more about our own lives. We're going to be intentional. I'm going to pose simple questions, and through our answers, we'll be able to gain a little bit more clarity in the direction we want to go moving forward. My name is Rich Hebron. If you didn't know yet, I'm an author, and I love just exploring fundamentals, building those fundamentals so that we can be more spontaneous and experience life in a more present way, which is more fulfilling. We'll start this session how we always do, and that's 5 minutes of breathing. Something so simple, right? Well, that's all we're going to do for the next 5 minutes. I'm setting a timer right now, and just in and out. If thoughts come to mind, just let them pass. They're not important right now. We're just breathing in and breathing out. If it helps, just focus on like one phrase or one word and just repeat that over and over while you breathe. All right, here we are. How was that? 5 minutes of breathing. Now we do that to recenter ourselves, just to get back to, it's very fundamental, and that's just breathing in and out as a human being, and when you're able to focus on the breath, you're just here, right? And we quiet our mind so that we can be more clear, right? And so let's start this session. If you have a notebook, bring your notebook out. If you type on a computer, do that. Or if you're just, listening, be conscious and just kind of follow along. Enjoy the journey that we're going to embark on. We'll start this, of course, with what are we grateful for? I'm grateful that you're here. It's cool to have people align in believing the importance of taking these small actions, getting our mind right, and focusing on fundamentals. Fundamentals aren't sexy, but they allow the sexiness to bloom. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is like when you have a strong foundation, you can kind of just be a lot more extemporaneous in how you approach life. And life becomes a lot more enjoyable that way because you always have this kind of like a backbone or this sturdy structure to then build upon. Yeah, so I'm grateful you're here. I have this notebook. This is my journal. And I think now, like Da Vinci would fill up every single possible space in his notebooks. And so here in this session, I thought about, like starting, there's probably about a third of the page left. And I thought about starting a new page so then I could have the full page. And I think when it comes to notebooks, I'm always thinking about Da Vinci. And I'm like, no, I got to use this space. It'd be wasteful. Use all of it. Then again, during his time, they didn't have access to all the paper that we do now. Quite a different time, in the like late 16th, early 17th centuries. Yeah, I've been writing a novel over the last like 2.5 months. And Da Vinci comes up for sure, and I've been working on some scenes that include the Mona Lisa. So Da Vinci's kind of been on my mind recently. Da Vinci's my guy. He's one of my guys. I appreciate him. The Mona Lisa is just like one thing about him, I'm very interested in many different things about him. And he approached life in observation and experience. You can probably learn more about the world just by being outside and just watching nature for an hour. Because nature is never the same. There's always something different. And this phrase that is I feel it might be overused, but a river is never the same river. When you step into it, the current is flowing. It's like never the same, right? You're never stepping into the same river, but nature's kind of like that. So let's think about our observations with nature recently. What's something interesting we observed about nature recently? I've been fascinated with squirrels. I feel like since the weather got a little cooler, the squirrels have been out more. They're gathering food for the winter. But also I feel like when the birds left for warmer climate, the squirrels came out and they're like having their own party. You know, like the parents are gone. Let's celebrate. Let's have some fun. And there's just squirrels everywhere. And they're dancing and they're chasing each other around. And I was watching this one today for like 5 minutes. And it's just on his hind legs. And it had they have like a hickory nut, or it was about the size of an acorn, and it like chiseled away at this nut, and the debris would fly off. So you know, like on the acorn, there's like that top part of it. It just like shattered it off really quickly, really efficiently. So I was thinking about it, it's like a teeth structure and like the strength of it, the durability of it. But nature is always, if you allow it to be interesting, if you're interested in nature, it will reward you with certainly metaphors for life. There's some big crows around too. Notice them. This next question, though, let's think about a moment we experienced recently where we're feeling stressed or anxious or depressed. Did we let it simmer? Did we allow it to just kind of continue? Or did we take a pause and work our way back to find the source of that emotion? For like me recently, there have been a few moments where I'm just feeling stressed, and you can feel it. I can feel it in my body, right? And I pause, and I think, okay, what's the source of this feeling I'm experiencing? And I work my way back, and I'll come to something, and it's like, no, that's not really it. Let's go back further. No. And then the identification of the source allows you then to make, to then like put it on a stage and almost judge it in a way. Now, we don't want to make judgments about people, about ourselves, but let's judge this source right now and view it from more of an objective perspective. Take a step back and really think, is this thing that's causing me the stress really worth it? Like, is it justified in creating this reaction within ourselves? And oftentimes when I do that, I think about the last time I looked at the stars. Looking up at the stars puts everything into perspective. It's like that. So quickly, we're humbled and our significance is significantly reduced. And so looking at it from that perspective and thinking about this individual thing that's causing us stress, almost every time this is silly. Let's not allow this. And then moving forward, the stress just like isn't there. It loses its weight, and I can feel my body become a lot lighter. So I think it's important to think about and just kind of take that approach, use that exercise. So think about a moment that caused you stress, and how did you respond to it? And moving forward, how can you respond better or an improved way to reduce the weight of that? That's the best medicine. Just look up at the stars, and then it just immediately just flattens whatever we're concerned about, whatever we're worried about, whatever significance we feel we have entitled to us in the world or anything like that. Great tactic. But it highlights the importance of what we're doing right now. What we want to do is become aware of how we interact with the world and in the present moment, right? If we are not able to be aware of the feelings within us at a moment, they will just continue to go on autopilot and control how we feel, control our lives, right? And it's important to be aware of the emotions, but not identify with them, right? It's like we're on a dock, on a lake, or the ocean, right? And all we're doing is watching boats go past. Or how about a river? The Chicago River. Or in Miami, we're like downtown and watching these boats go past. Or we're in New York and we're on that boardwalk by Brooklyn, and you're watching the Hudson River and you see Manhattan and you just watch the boats go by. That's how we want to kind of approach these feelings, these emotions that come up within us. We're not attaching ourselves to these boats, right? We just watch them pass, and we just continue that. We want to be thinking more in that arena in terms of our own individual thoughts and feelings. What's a small thing we've done recently that really provided us gratification. This could be cooking or baking something. Could be fixing a problem that's been kind of festering in a house or an apartment. Fixing something physical, a drain, a door, just something small that we let go for a while and we resolved it. Or baking, just that process, all those different steps, and then the final version of it, just that exhale, that relief of, I did this. It's not some grand big thing, but it's something. We did this. What has been an experience like that for you? I recently found these. They're my indoor shoes. Since I moved from Chicago in the city to farmhouse in Wisconsin, I haven't had the indoor shoes. I couldn't find them. And then what happens is I kind of I use them. I buy the same pair of shoes, and then when the outdoor ones wear out, then my indoor ones become my outdoor ones, and it's kind of repetitive, which probably is an indicator that they're cheap products because I keep having to go through them. But I found these just now, like 25 minutes ago. And I had it on my weekly external brain under my personal items. Find indoor shoes. Look for indoor shoes. And they just appeared to me in the bathroom closet. Because when you think indoor shoes, the first place you look is a bathroom closet. So, what's something that resolved itself kind of naturally to you? What's something like that you experienced, and then just that moment of amazement? Oh, wow, here they are. This is so amazing. Now, if I had found them right away, that feeling wouldn't be there, right? It's the build-up to it. It's the, say, dating. It's all this small, it's the time and the space, right? That gives something heavier weight, heavier value. We tend to value things that took time and effort. Another thing for me is I grew a garden this summer, and it's been so just fruitful, so giving towards me. I did not expect to not buy vegetables for 3 or 4 months. And the last thing, I have some red onions, but these carrots, I planted carrots. And these carrots, the seeds are so tiny. They're the size of a bed bug, if you know what the size of a bed bug is. It's very tiny. And they're so light, and I planted them kind of carelessly. It was like the last thing I planted, and they didn't grow. They didn't sprout up where I planted them. And so while I'm weeding throughout this time, throughout the weeks that it's growing and plants are coming up, and then there's a lot of weeds, and I'm pulling out the weeds, there's no carrots. But then all of a sudden, in an area, the far area of the garden, there's just like this sea of carrots, like these carrot tops, these, very thin kind of leafy looking things. And it was the last thing I harvested. I pulled out all the plants, had this beet that was like the size of a softball, and it tasted great. But I've been now eating these carrots for the last week or so, and these wild or grown carrots, they taste so good. Really appreciate them. And it's cool. That's something that's just kind of amazing to me, just how that kind of worked out. They're very giving to me, but I thought I had lost them. I thought they were gone to time and space. And here they were. Yeah, carrots. Really tough to pull out, too. Had to use a shovel to, kind of poke around them. They're just really sturdy, really in there. Let's just take a moment to appreciate our favorite vegetable. So, think and write about your favorite vegetable. Trying to think of some spices too. Just kind of been experimenting with spices a little bit. Had some homemade macaroni and cheese, but it just didn't have that pop. So I tried some different ones. Crushed red pepper, celery seed, some like barbecue 3000 something, and barberry, barb spice. Crushed red pepper was the best one. I want to try some ground sage. I wonder what that tastes like. I'm a big fan of basil. Basil's probably one of my favorite, like ground up spice. I like to get more into dill. I think dill would taste good on a lot of stuff. Like dill rice. Put it on my rice. I eat a lot of brown rice. Because I'm thinking the rice. Friend and I would go to Felipe and I would go to this Mediterranean restaurant, this like Persian restaurant, and the food was incredible, and like so much of it. Like 2 of these notebooks together was like one huge plate, and there was so much rice, you know? So this Persian restaurant used dill on their rice, and I think that would taste really good. So we reflected on our favorite vegetable. Now let's think about our favorite restaurant. Do we have a favorite restaurant? Maybe it's local. Maybe it's a chain. What is it, and what do we appreciate most about them? Mine's Lincoln Station, Chicago, place I worked, place that started on fire a year ago, 2 days prior to this when I'm recording, and it's just been on my mind lately. I used to work at this restaurant. I was working at this restaurant a year ago. And then when I was in Paris, the last day I was in Paris, there was a fire at the restaurant. And it was destroyed. So when I came back from Paris, my whole life had sort of changed. It did change. And I took time to like take a step back, think about it, and what my next moves would be, and leading up to this, like practicing these exercises, practicing this reflection, I was able to really get clear in direction moving forward. Because if I'm going to redesign my life, I don't, not by my own choice, just by these external circumstances, why redesign it for 3 or 4 months from now, right? Let's think 10 years. How do we envision our life 10 years from now? Let's go in that direction. Let's not think short term. Let's not think kind of a stopgap measure. Let's totally change it up. And now I'm here living in a farmhouse in rural Wisconsin a year later. Life is different, but takes a lot the same fundamentals and place them here. And it's been different, but it's been rewarding. So let's think about a moment where external circumstances completely upended your life as you knew it, right? How did you respond, and what were you most proud of from having kind of redesigned that or having to respond to it? So what's an external circumstance that upended our life and forced us to kind of redesign how we go moving forward? How did we respond? And what are we proud of from that? I read the journal entry from that day. Yesterday I did it. And I really don't look back much in life. But there was something on my mind, something kind of, what do you call it, serendipitous? Where I'm writing this novel and 3 chapters take place in Paris. And so I wrote the final scene of this 3rd chapter. And that was that. But then I realized later that day that it was the same day of the fire in Paris. It was my last day in Paris that the fire happened. And this was the last day I worked on these Paris scenes. So my mind was in Paris that day. And exactly a year prior, I was in Paris and the fire happened. It was very, coincidental or serendipitous or it was on my mind. And so the next day, yesterday, I reread that journal entry. And it's really the first time I've ever looked back at a journal entry. I don't do it at all. I really don't do that in life. I just kind of keep going forward. Generally, I don't dwell on things or events or experiences, but it is good to check in and I knew where I am now. And all the decisions I made in the last year, and I'm going back to this, and I'm writing about the fire and how, when I return to the United States, literally, my life is different. It's changed. Factually, and grappling with that was quite interesting. There's so much uncertainty, not only in life, but just the thing that happened, the friends, the community, there's that aspect of it too, right? But personally, it's wow, we have to now live a different life. And certainly the biggest thing to come from that is physically where I live now is not the same. That's a big thing, right? But whenever we're kind of taking things on like that, we want to have, a positive outlook, a positive belief that our decisions will be fruitful and looking back will be filled with gratitude for them, right? Even though there's a lot of pain in the moment. There's so much pain. I remember there's just like feeling so much pain. And yeah, I think over the last year, there's been a lot of pain. But there's a lot of growth that can happen from pain. Paris just keeps coming up on my mind. I just had a friend who told me she's visiting Paris. And I immediately shared with her my 2023 richest Paris experience. There's I think 33 or 38 places on Google Maps of where I went that trip. And I've been going through photos. So whenever I'm writing a scene with the novel, I have photos on my wallpaper on the computer of where that scene takes place. Because all the scenes sort of happened in real life, writing from experience. So it's very vivid to me. And so Paris has been on the mind. Also, too, because I've been listening to nothing but French music. I'm really into the new disco and groovy vibes, French house. It's fun. Energy. So what's a place that's been on your mind recently? Maybe it's not from a vacation. Maybe you've never even been there. But what's a geographical location that is on your mind and has your interest, has your attention? Yeah, in the novel, right now when I'm writing, I'm back in Chicago. And then it goes to Miami. And it comes back to Chicago. And then it goes to London. And it ends in London. Oh, no, it goes... Wisconsin's in there too. The novel takes place in Wisconsin, Chicago, New York, Miami, Paris, and London. London hasn't been on my mind as much as one would think. I had such an amazing time there. Probably more actual fun than Paris, because I was with friends, I was with people the people of London, I think, have a little better spirit, but aesthetically, it's just draining. It drains my energy. I don't know. Paris, man, that aesthetic, and with the music too. The music, they're very in tune with something. All right, last question of the session. What are we energized for next week? Always good to have something on our mind to kind of look forward to. We don't want to dwell on it, but we want to have something that we know is going to uplift us, give us some power, some energy. Charge it. Something coming up that recharges our spirit, recharges our body. Could be the holidays coming up. It could be a trip. It could be like Black Friday and like buying things. That's something on my mind recently. Just like consumer culture. And Black Friday kind of being like a national American holiday. We're very well groomed to buy things. But yeah, just energy. What are we energized for in the next week? So with that, thank you for being here. Really grateful that you're taking time out of your day, not only to spend with me, but to think about your own life. And, just take small steps. Patience. Understanding that, patience. Like, just do the right thing in front of you. And in the next moment, do the right thing in front of you. And eventually it adds up, which is fantastic. And the results can be really, really beautiful and fulfilling. So thank you again for being here. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful week and inspire the future.